Ladies and gentlemen, if you were to advise somebody right now to have like a 14-day protocol to lose as much visceral fat as possible without sacrificing their health, what types of things would you have them do? First of all, we need to identify some of the top things that I didn't mention already that lead to visceral fat. Okay, the first thing is going to be alcohol. And sorry to be the bearer of bad news here, but every time you consume alcohol, it's a toxin to your body. It kills brain cells. But let's talk about the visceral fat. Visceral fat is the nasty fat around your organs, which applies pressure to your heart, your pancreas, your liver. It shortens your lifespan. It's also going to create obesity. When you consume alcohol, your body needs to prioritize getting rid of that toxin, the alcohol. So you're not burning fat, you're storing fat, especially fat around your liver, which is visceral fat. I personally do not drink alcohol, but I have clients who tell me, okay, if you did drink, what are better options? And so the worst offenders when it comes to alcohol, which leads to visceral fat, is going to be beer and wine. Okay, beer is very estrogenic, which lowers testosterone and creates a beer belly. Wine typically, if it's from the US, is loaded with these chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, which creates inflammation and visceral fat. If you're going to do alcohol, I don't recommend it, but if you're going to do alcohol, you want to go with the clear alcohols, whiskey, tequila, and vodka. You want to make sure it's on the rock, and you want to make sure you're doing some things to metabolize that alcohol faster so you can go back to burning visceral fat, like taking glutathione before the alcohol, taking a binder before the alcohol. Eating asparagus with your alcohol actually helps you metabolize it faster as well. So there's a few things you can do there. So you want to eliminate or limits alcohol. That's number one. Number two, excessive cardio leads to visceral fat. All right. I'm talking about those who are jogging, long distance run. Excessive cardio is excessive stress, and you create a cortisol belly, which leads to visceral fat. So instead, when I give the tips, you're going to do something else that burns your visceral fat faster when it comes to exercise. So you don't want to do chronic cardio. Number three is going to be the poor sleep. We spoke about when you're getting poor sleep, you're going to store fat. That's not good. Okay, those are top three things. Let's get into what actually burns visceral fat. When it comes to exercise, these are the two best exercises that burn visceral fat. Just melt it off your body in a matter of days. So sprinting, and it doesn't have to be that much. Here's what I have my students do, which works really, really well. It's a 20-second all-out sprint. When I say all out, Doug, I mean like you're running for your life. Pretend like a lion is chasing you, all out. Sprint for 20 seconds, not that long, but it feels long when you're running for your life. Once you're done, you're gonna rest for 90 seconds. You do that a total of 3 rounds, 20-second sprint, 90-second rest, 3 total rounds. You do that just 4 times a week, you will start to burn visceral fat. You'll melt it off your body. Pair that with strength training exercises, but not just any strength training exercises. I'm not talking about isolated movement. You know a lot about this, Doug, like bicep curls and leg extensions. Those are more vanity. I'm talking about compound movements that hold up, Ben. You live in Miami. No bicep curls. Come on, man. Hey, I still do it for like vanity. The vanity part. I know, I'm kidding. But we're talking about visceral fat and more functional lifts. You know all about this, right? Yeah, compound movements that recruit multiple joints at the same time. So squats, either bodyweight squats or weighted squats, push-ups, bench press, pull-ups, lunges, planks. These are going to be great for visceral fat. The third thing is to eat more red meat, eat more butter on the red meat. That actually will burn visceral fat. Because what contributes to visceral fat, it's not fat that you eat, it's not saturated fat, it's not protein from the butter and the steak, it's carbohydrate. And when you eat a big ribeye with butter, you're giving your metabolism the building blocks to really burn fat. You're giving it saturated fat, minerals. So butter with red meat, eat that every day to burn visceral fat. One more thing to burn visceral fat, sleep. Get at least 90 minutes of deep sleep every single night. I use an Oura ring to track my deep sleep. You could use the same thing or an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or a Whoop or whatever it is. But if you get 90 minutes of deep sleep, I'm not saying total sleep, 90 minutes deep sleep, that's where you're activating your fat burning hormones. You're going to burn visceral fat. You're going to wake up and look in the mirror and have a flatter stomach. I can tell you this, the best way to get deep sleep is to avoid eating at least 3 hours before bed. Take high quality magnesium before bed and get morning sunshine through your eyes, which syncs your circadian rhythm and melatonin and all these different things to help get quality sleep and make the bedroom cold and dark. The studies show your bedroom thermostat should be around 65 to 67 degrees to get deep fat burning sleep. So those are the steps to melt belly fat. I love it, man. And I love how kind of simple you make it, right? I think that people might watch content like yours like, man, this guy makes it way too complicated, but I think you make it super simple in the way you deliver stuff. You give people clear instructions. You're not wishy-washy with stuff and like, well, just do this, do that. It's more like, no, this is what you should do and can do if you want to make the most of your visceral fat reduction. And here's how to also, get rid of the things that might be getting in your way. I know that you talk about creating metabolic freedom. It's been a big, big mission of yours for a while. What do you mean by that? And thank you for that, Doug. I appreciate that, brother. Metabolic freedom. 93% of Americans are not metabolically free. They're in a metabolic prison. They're stuck burning sugar, glucose, and there's nothing wrong burning sugar and glucose, unless you're only burning sugar and glucose. Here are some signs that you're a sugar burner. You're tired after eating a meal. That's a sign you're a sugar burner. You have more than 20 pounds of fat on your body, extra weight on your body. Sign you're a sugar burner. You have skin tags on your body. You have brown patches around your armpits and neck. Sign you're a sugar burner. That's not metabolic free. When you're a sugar burner, you have to eat every 2 to 3 hours. You have trouble losing weight. You have weight loss resistance. Your energy levels fluctuate. You get poor sleep. You're inflamed. This was my life for 20 plus years as a sugar burner with a broken metabolism. And in 2008, 17 plus years ago, I turned my sugar burning metabolism into a fat burning machine. I lost 80 pounds of fat in 9 months. I went from 34% body fat to 6% body fat at my lowest. I achieved metabolic freedom. Metabolic freedom is being able to skip a meal and feel great. Metabolic freedom is being able to burn sugar when you want it on a high carb day, or fat when you want it on a high fat or a fasting day. That's metabolic freedom. Metabolic freedom allows you to have your true personality for your coworkers, your job, your family members, for your podcast interviews, speaking on stage, whatever you're doing. You're shining bright. In that energy, it's not just a little boost of energy. No. You wake up refreshed. You wake up feeling restored and energized. And that energy lasts until you put your head back on the pillow. That's metabolic freedom. And fortunately, the studies are showing 93% of Americans do not have that. They have metabolic dysfunction, which is why I wrote the book Metabolic Freedom, to show the way to achieve metabolic freedom. I love it, man. And is there ways that you found to kind of rev up your metabolism like naturally? Is it to optimize the things you just mentioned? Yeah, it's not necessarily, we don't necessarily want to like boost or rev up the metabolism. We want to make it efficient and flexible. And there are some things you can do to answer your question. Yes, here's a little tip that I put in the book that's remarkable for fat loss and metabolic health and your metabolism. Walking after your meals game. Walking in general, Doug, is such a great fat loss hack, but walking after your meals for just 10 minutes after all of your meals will help you burn fat and help with your metabolic rate and metabolic flexibility. And if you could walk for 30 minutes after your biggest meal, that's even more beneficial. But I get the time constraints, but 10-minute walk after all meals. Great. Now before your meals, have 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons with water of apple cider vinegar to help you digest that meal better. And it'll mitigate this blood sugar spike. Then you pair that with a 10-minute walk. You go right back into a fat burning state much faster. And then walking in general, I would aim to get at least 10,000 steps a day to keep your body in this fat burning mode. Not just from one walk that gets you 10,000 steps, but these little exercise snacks throughout the day. The walking after the meal, walking in the morning, just getting your steps throughout the day to get about 10,000 steps a day. That's going to be really beneficial for your metabolism. We're not necessarily trying to rev it up or boost it. We're trying to make it efficient. See, the metabolism is either efficient or inefficient. And I want to teach your metabolism to be a fat burner, not necessarily boost it. But by doing what I just shared, the walking after the meal, the apple cider vinegar, and the steps in general, you help it become more of a fat burner versus a sugar. And what have been a couple small shifts you've made in the last few months or even in the last year that have allowed you to optimize your health? My sauna has been a big thing for me. I love sauna. You could do red light, infrared sauna, which is what I do, or dry sauna, steam sauna, or even like a really hot shower. Heat therapy, and I talk about this in the book chapter 11, when I talk about biohacks for fat loss. Sauna is up there because when you're in a hot environment like a sauna, it creates something called vasodilation. Vasodilation is where your blood vessels open up, and now your body, your metabolism will deliver oxygen, nutrients, and blood flow more efficiently to all of your organs and systems and muscles. And what happens is, it opens up during your sauna session. It also activates heat shock proteins. It creates autophagy, which we spoke about earlier, and MSHB, which is mitochondrial autophagy, and it enhances what's called brown fat. So if you're looking to burn fat, you want to get more brown fat. The white fat you have on your body is the visceral fat. It's the fat that's inflammatory. And brown fat is very metabolically active because it's loaded with these little battery packs called mitochondria. And when you do a hot exposure, you activate more brown fat. So you burn more calories, you burn more fat. So that's been a game changer for me, Doug. And then, cold exposure is also great. Going back and forth hot and cold is also great. But I prefer the sauna over the cold exposure. It's a lot more enjoyable. A lot of times what happens when people are on this fat loss journey, especially when they're trying to make these shifts that we've been talking about, is their mindset gets in the way. They have a bad day. They go out and eat a half of a pizza. They go out and they get too drunk or whatever the case may be, and they feel down on themselves. What are some tips you have for people to conquer some limiting beliefs and these mindset barriers that get in the way of their fat loss transformation? I love this question. I go deep into this in chapter 10 of the book. Chapter 10 in Metabolic Freedom is my favorite chapter. It's all about the placebo effect, the nocebo effect, your self-image, which is what you said, how you view yourself, and why so many people keep sabotaging themselves. Here's how it works. This is the biggest thing that's changed my life. You can never outperform your self-image. The way you view yourself, and the way you view yourself, is not something you're conscious of. The way you view yourself is at a subconscious level. I'll give you an example. I mentioned that I was overweight and obese for 20 plus years. So when I started to lose weight, I was starting to sabotage myself to match the self-image, because my self-image was that of an obese person. That was my self-image. I'm an obese person. So when I start to go and eat healthy and move my body and lose weight, I found ways to course correct to match the self-image of an obese person. I was literally looking at myself in the mirror, starting to see my abs become defined right in front of my eyes, but I still saw myself as an obese person, right? So we need to change the self-image. You do that through constant spaced repetition, meaning the way your self-image was built was when you were a kid, through constant space, repetition, all of the conversations you've had, all the experiences you had, now you've identified as the overweight person, or this autoimmune person, or whatever you're considering yourself as your self-image. So I literally did this, Doug, and this might sound crazy to a few people, but that's okay. I literally grabbed a card like this here, but it could be a sticky note, anything, a post-it note, and I wrote, I am so happy and grateful now that, and I wrote my new self-image. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm at my perfect weight. I am healthy. The health I seek, the perfect health I seek, is now seeking me. I remove any blockages between us. And I wrote that down, and I just kept reading it every day, and I read it enough times to replace the old self-image in my subconscious mind. And that's when I stopped sabotaging myself. Look, there's always going to be ups and downs on this weight loss journey and health journey. It's never about the setback. It is about the get back. So many times we'll take one meal of bad eating. If you've been good for say 3 weeks, and you take one meal of bad eating, you turn one meal into a week, a weekend, and a weekend, into a weekend, and a weekend to a month. And all of a sudden you're way back to where you were before you even started this journey. So if you have a slip up, know this. Rockets fail their way to the moon. They take off. They have a goal, get to the moon, and it's all about course correct, course correct, course correct. So just simply course correct. When you have that bad meal that wasn't aligned with your new goals, forget about it. Course correct, and go right back on track the next morning. Don't take one meal and turn it into a weekend, and so on and so forth. And you'll just keep learning. These are learning opportunities. And here's the cool thing. When you achieve metabolic freedom, you could actually time these events. A concert, a wedding, and there's going to be unhealthy food. You could actually time it with actually going into it saying, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to enjoy myself because I'm metabolically free. I do that from time to time.
but in the beginning there's going to be those ups and downs. Don't let a speed bump turn into a stop sign. Course correct right away and just get right back on track. This episode is brought to you by Live on Labs. If you are someone who is constantly stressed, feeling depleted, and exhausted, I have some exciting news. My friends at Live on Labs have an incredible deal I can offer you. When you buy any product at full price, you get a free carton of their highly popular B-complex product, which I take every day. Taking a B-complex supplement can also help support things like a healthy metabolism, increased energy, blood sugar balance, and learning. Vitamin B supplements can help replenish nutrients depleted from stress. Live on Labs puts years of research into each product, which is why I stand behind them. Using liposome encapsulation technology, these products promote elite absorption, so the supplements get into your cells and give you the best benefits that you're looking for. Right now you can get a free carton of Lipospiric B Complex Plus, which is a $56 value, with any full price purchase from liveonlabs.com. This supplement has the B vitamins and minerals that you need to help turn food into sustained natural energy throughout the day. Just add B Complex Plus and any other full price supplement to your cart and enter code BOPES24 at checkout to get this amazing deal.